There she is, there she is, there's what keeps me up at night. Oh gee whiz, there's why I can't eat a bite. Those flaming eyes, that flaming youth. Oh mister, oh sister, tell me the truth.
Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The scenario is Reeling Midnight. It was written by Tom Lynch, and it's included in a collection called New Tales of the Miskatonic Valley. Our game master is Tyler Hudak, and this is episode 5. Our recap will be given by Stuart Lively as his character, Harvey Belvedere. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Stuart?
Thanks, Tom. Ben's got a real doozy of a case. I help him out a lot, usually, with the legal side of his PI agency, but I find myself doing more PI work in the field than back in my attorney's office. Ben and I go to the police, where we have Sergeant Larder look into missing young to middle-aged men. Later, the sergeant gets back to us. Roger Hudson was found dead of a possible heart attack in an alleyway. This will prove more interesting in a moment. Ben and I later tail the Vargas and don't really find anything unusual for their travels of the day. Dr. Sybil Bentz, she tracks down and chats with Dottie Harris, the university. She confirms that Professor Morgan is a jerk, but more importantly, Dottie got a business card from a certain accountant, Martin Blaylock, who might have been a previous party lover of Adriana's. Garland found Gordon Chetney's marijuana-clouded apartment and spoke with him, getting a lead to Gleason Department Store, where one of Adriana's former party lovers worked. Thaddeus, along with Garland, they visit Glinda from the party, who works at the same store as well. Thaddeus charms a name out of her, a particular Roger, who had been to the party with Adriana. Thaddeus and Garland investigate a bit more and discovered Roger's last name, Hudson, Roger Hudson, the same Roger Hudson that was recently found dead in an alleyway of what Sergeant Larder thinks was a heart attack. To throw one last spin in the day's collection of leads, as I completed my tailing of the Vargas, as they stepped out of their taxi, Zoltan squeezes Ariadne's behind, then they briefly kiss passionately. What's going on here? We meet back at Ben's office.
Excellent. Before we continue on, I wanted to share two additional documents that we've already talked about, but had not been created. So just to kind of make them canon within the game. The first is, the letter that Ben found in Zoltan's the boudoir in a cabinet, I believe, or a dresser or something like that. We had talked about it, but basically what it says is, if you want the pictures, meet me on the park bench in Boston Common at Tremont and Temple, Thursday, 11 a.m., $200. And the letter is not signed, but the envelope is stamped Hal Partland. The second document that I wanted to show and kind of put into the game was the article about Eugene Wilcox being dead. I'll let one of you read it if you'd like.
Arkham Advertiser, dated Sunday. Eugene Wilcox, upcoming socialite, dead. A party last night at an elegant estate turned deadly when Eugene Wilcox, son of timber magnate Edwin Wilcox, and his wife Grace Wilcox, was found dead. Those close to the investigation state that foul play is not suspected and that Mr. Wilcox may have taken his own life using a pistol. The final report from the medical examiner has not yet been released. Mr. Wilcox has been seen at many East Town parties over the previous several weeks, enjoying the company of the many crowds. His friends have stated that he was in good spirits that night and are shocked at the turn of events. There is no suspicion of involvement of alcohol or drugs. Walter Dodge.
That particular piece says something about him at parties. I wonder if there were other parties in the neighborhood where he attended, and perhaps he disclosed to some people there this seeming relationship that he was having with Ariadne.
That's certainly not a bad idea.
Well, he had been talking with Gordon. I don't know who would know more than Gordon, and we've already talked to him.
Right.
I mean, Ariadne had become the center of his world practically. I don't know if he was concerning himself with other parties. I feel like he became consumed by this narrow focus.
Certainly
Furthermore,
possible.
that article is so full of beans that the use of several parties might be as evasive as there was no drug or alcohol use involved, because we know that's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
They just might not want to get sued by the Vargas.
And as you said, Mr. Vandermolen, son, I say this as I'm sort of examining the business card. It looks like Miss Ariadne was not the only was the world not just for Mr. Wilcox. As I say this, I'm flipping the business card between my fingers.
What do you have there?
I managed to locate Dottie Harris, and Morgan from archaeology. Well, he played her quite wrong. However, while she was working at one of these, I flip it to show. This gentleman by the name of Martin Blaylock came on to her quite strongly. This is our man from the tower office, Suite 304. And he was definitely one of Ariadne's previous lovers.
Oh.
If Roger Hudson and Bradford Taylor are anything to go by, I fear that this accountant may have shared a similar fate. It'd be worth swinging by the office and seeing if he's around, though.
Well,
We're putting together our notes. Who was the boy killed in the fire?
Bradford Taylor.
Bradford Taylor.
Have we confirmed that he was at any of those parties?
Yes, he was. Or
no, you have
no.
not.
He was just a mysterious death in the area of a person at the. Okay, right.
Sergeant Lauder.
I'm in my statement. I mean, Roger Hudson, we know went up with Ariadne, and he's dead. And we know this Blylock has been up there, but we don't know what his condition is, if he's still around.
Right.
So
then you could call the sergeant and see if there's anybody who could be Blaylock, so we don't have to wait tomorrow to find out if he shows up at work.
If Blaylock's also dead, then there's just too much coincidence going on here. 3 dead, all having in common.
And this Bradford Taylor, I'm trying to think if there's a way for us to determine if he's just not associated, or if he has been attending those, or if he did attend those parties while he was alive.
Well, if we could find out from the medical examiner, I might be able to do that. I'm a detective, so.
We've also still not paid a visit to our occult friend.
Yeah,
That's
there's
true.
Mr. Vinch, and there's also Callie. When I spoke to Callie, if there's anything more there right now.
Right.
What do you think about discussing with Mr. Vinch some of the more bizarre aspects of our investigation? This is kind of my thought. I don't personally believe in astrology or any of that sort of stuff. However, that doesn't mean that a mad sociopathic killer doesn't believe in it and orchestrates things around the mythology. So knowing the mythology might help figure out who the killer is.
I am curious more from Mr. Vinch. The event that happened the week prior, the seance gone wrong, which I don't know if it occurred after the toast debacle or before.
I expect it was, well, yeah, I don't know. We can find out.
It'd be interesting if to learn exactly when it occurred, but
Could
To know who was there and why Zoltan's so angry about it as well.
Right. Oh, I have to admit, I am curious though. Now that you mentioned that, Mr. Belvedere, Detective Armand, what did you find when you were tracking down the Vargas?
they just went to church.
Yeah. But when they got back home, Zoltan gave a little affectionate grab to Ariadne's rear end, and then they kissed for a bit before going in, which was a little bit shocking.
It somewhat explains Zoltan's irritation at her dalliance with other men, and it further suggests that they are completely dishonest about who they claim to be.
Exactly.
They might not even be related. If they're con men, then they're twin con men that are, con artists that are working together to create something. I think that
where is the graft in killing young men?
Yeah, we haven't figured out what the
I don't think
gist of it is.
I don't think they are the ones killing them. I think it is the young men who are killing themselves, like Eugene.
Again, we have to figure out what a heart attack really means.
I'm really curious now to talk to the witch doctor, Mr. Finch.
And of course, if I'm wrong about things and you really can speak to the dead, we can ask him to ask Eugene why he did it.
Yeah. If it were only that easy to solve crimes by asking the dead person who did it.
Wouldn't need a lot of homicide detectives if you could talk to the dead.
That's true.
That would make a crack radio show, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm certain.
Better than the Shadow.
Of course, there'd always be charlatans who just wanted their friends bumped off, so they'd say their friend did the murder. And
right, Salem witch trial stuff.
Plus, the ghost can show up and actually talk to everybody. And
although, despite my disdain for that type of thing in general, I remember it's fairly unusual for people to be foaming at the mouth, even during the most dedicated of charlatan shows.
Yeah. Ectoplasm.
Again, talking to Mr. Finch will give us a bit of clarification about exactly what happened. What was maybe what he said, what was said.
Yeah. How could it gone so wrong that it caused such a stir?
Right. Let's have a round of bourbon and coffee. And Ben, you call the police department and tell them that they should be looking if they've got any bodies that don't have names on them. There might be a Martin Blaylock.
Okay.
And if so, we have at least 2 connections to the Varga house that have come to untimely ends, in addition to Eugene, who's not considered a mystery. And then I've got Vinch's card. I'll call him and see if we can arrange an evening seance.
Meeting. We'd all like to be there, I think.
Yeah.
But you know what I just realized? We have to bear in mind, too, that this could be, sometimes you stumble into a war between criminal factions. What if this is one group of con artists and Vinch is just another group of con artists and they're having a little private war between them?
He might give away something.
Right.
He might give away something because he doesn't know what we're up to.
Oh, so maybe these are murders,
I think.
Trying to discredit or bring,
I'm still wondering about mesmerism, too.
It's possible.
Could you hypnotize somebody into killing themselves? Going into a burning building, dying of a heart attack in an alley.
You can't quite convince somebody to die of a heart attack.
Right.
Can
I don't
we
know.
clarify, Keeper, whether Bradford Taylor was burnt or just found in a burnt out building?
I think we're gonna have to find
What they told you is that he was found in a burnt building, that he was, the cause of death was basically suffocation or burning, from what the
Smoke
sergeant
inhalation.
told you. Smoke inhalation, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So that could
All
well
right.
have been a suicide or a murder.
Right.
This is getting interesting finally.
Finally, you say.
Well, we increasingly have reason to believe there's actually
Foul play.
criminal intent outside of just a little craft.
I imagine, Miss Dr. Benz, that I have a little more experience with murders happening and having to solve them than you might. So it's not quite as exciting to me as it might be to you.
I prefer to read about my historical murders,
Yeah.
not participate in investigating a real one.
They can be fascinating.
So by this time, it's early evening. You've spent the morning, following up on all of your leads. You all got here probably early afternoon and have been spending the last probably hour or two discussing the case. Your secretary has gone home by this point. So what are your plans for the rest of the evening, if any?
I would like to call Mr. Vinch. I am the one who met with him and got his card.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll call the cops and ask about Bradford. Blaylock? See
Martin.
if
Martin
they've
Blaylock
found a
is,
dead person.
Okay.
Also, when is the meeting supposed to take place?
Thursday, 11 a.m.
Thursday.
at the square.
And that's not here, that's in Boston, right?
Right.
Correct.
That's
And today
an hour
is
and a half.
Monday. It's
It's
currently.
Sunday.
Oh, it's still
Sunday.
Sunday. Oh, okay.
Church Sunday. Yeah, so Garland, see if Finch will see us this evening.
So Garland, you're gonna call Gerhard Vinch.
Yes.
So you have his number from his business card. You call over to him. The phone rings a number of times, and then it finally picks up. And Gerhard, in his very thick German accent, picks up the phone and says, "Hello, can I help you?"
Hi, Mr. Vinch. We met at the Bacchanal on Friday. This is Garland Vandermolen.
Ah, yes, Mr. Vandermolen. How can I help you?
Hearing about the seances that you performed at these parties in the past have intrigued me. I was wondering if you would have a moment to meet with me and some others and perhaps do a reading for us.
I can do a reading. It would be best to do it at your house or your apartment or where you live. That it tends to work better in familiar surroundings to the people that I'm doing this with. I'm not free tomorrow, but Tuesday evening I am.
Tuesday evening should be fine.
Okay. Where would you like to meet?
I'll look over to Thaddeus.
As well be our place, I suppose.
Yeah, so I'll give him the address of.
Okay, that sounds good. Is 7 o'clock okay?
7 o'clock is fine.
Perfect. I will see you there. He says that, and he says, one last thing. Obviously I do make this is my living. To let you know, it is going to be a $50 charge to do this. I hope that's okay with you.
Sure, that's fine.
Ask him if he needs anything for us to bring.
Do we need to bring or prepare anything special, or
No, not that I can think of. Just make sure we have a table that's big enough for everybody to sit around. It will be helpful if we can be in a room where we can close drapes and so on to make it dark. I have a bit of flair for the dramatic, but it does help with the seance itself. And if there is anybody specific that you'd like to contact, please think about that, and then we can discuss that when I arrive.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Excellent. I will see you on Tuesday at 7:00.
All right.
You can contact my ex-wife. She's dead to me.
Do you need someone with supernatural talents to do that, Armand, or you just have to make a phone call?
Oh, I'm just joking. But let me see what the police say about Mr. Blaylock. So I'll call.
Are you calling the same sergeant that you talked to previously?
Yeah.
The phone rings. Pick up the phone. Arkham Police Precinct. Can I help you? This is Sergeant.
It's Detective Benjamin Armand.
Oh, Ben. Hey.
How you doing? So we've been working on this case. Can you check the records and see if there's anything on a Martin Blaylock?
Martin Blaylock. How do you spell that?
Blaylock.
Yeah. Give me a second. You can hear him put the phone down. You can hear just like the noise in the background and shuffling of papers and things like that. After a few minutes, he comes back and says, "Yeah, no, I don't have anything on Martin Blaylock. Either arrested or deceased."
Okay. How about, do you have any John Does? Any unidentified?
I'm sure we do. The medical examiner's office doesn't tell us everything. So
right, I'll tell you what. We'd probably have to find a picture of the guy and then go to the morgue and see if the John Doe is him.
Yeah,
I obviously don't know who the John Doe is.
Yeah, I don't think they're in today.
That's okay.
I don't know. Yeah. So you'd have to go down there, unfortunately. Sorry.
Well, thank you so much. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Bye.
No dice, Ben?
No, but if we can, maybe there's. I don't know how we'll find a picture of this Martin Blaylock. Maybe we'll just have to find out where he lives.
Can't we, maybe just get a phone book and look. There's not that many Blaylocks. I'm sure, the phone books have addresses as well, usually. You could look up to see where he resides and just visit the house.
Well, I got a phone book right over here. It's the Arkham. It's this thick. It's this thick.
Go ahead and give me I don't know.
Luck.
Yeah, I would say luck.
I got a 56. How much luck do I have? I have 65, so I passed.
So you start looking through the phone book. Your phone book is fairly recent, and he is not in there.
I don't find a Blaylock.
Yeah, to you, this would indicate either he doesn't live in Arkham or he is pretty new.
Yeah, he could be anywhere in the area.
Well, if we call his office, if we get his answering service, we could just say, how long does it usually take him to get into the office? We could kind of figure out neighboring cities he might be.
I don't know who's going to be in an accounting office at
not on
Sunday.
Oh, not today. I'm just saying for tomorrow.
We'll call tomorrow and see if he's in, or if he was in recently, or whatever. We'll figure something out.
Call tomorrow when he's in. We'll tell him he's a very lucky man.
Not to go down any alleys or into any burning buildings,
or carry any Derringer pistols on him.
Or beware of giant spiders in the trees.
For the rest of the evening, then, are you going to do anything? Just call it a night. Take the rest of the night off.
I'd say
What are we going to do tomorrow, Javi? Are we going to go back and see if we can see them up to something again?
Yeah, I'm thinking of just until the meeting night. I'm thinking I'll put some mid to late night watches on them, eyes on them. Just park a couple blocks away and keep a lookout.
Oh, I don't think they're going to do anything in the middle of the night. I mean,
Well, there's the question of Ariadne getting out and about between parties too, and finding young men to invite. Might be interesting to see if she does a little individual gallivanting, especially now that we know they're at Item.
And they don't seem to be careful either, because if they were, they wouldn't have pretty much in public. They weren't on the doorsteps of their house. They were just getting out of the cab in plain sight of the taxi cab driver of fooling around like that. So they don't seem to be very careful people.
I haven't been to a nightclub or anything in a long time. What time do they usually start up? 9, 10 o'clock at night?
Around there, perhaps a bit later.
Well, perhaps I will go by the house this evening and just sit there and see if anybody leaves the house between 9 and 11. And if nobody leaves, I'll just go to bed.
I have no reason to be out. I'm probably just ready to go to bed, but I have some grain to catch up on anyway.
Yes. Everybody get some good rest. I'm not going to stay out too late. We obviously can't work if we're falling asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good point.
All right. So the rest of the Sunday evening for the rest of you passes fairly uneventfully. Benjamin, as you go over to the house, you park pretty much in the same spot you did before. It kind of seems like that's a good hiding spot. Nothing happens. You see the lights on in the house. They turn off, or at least the downstairs lights turn off around 11 o'clock. If you stay any later, shortly thereafter, between 11:30 and midnight, the rest of the lights in the house go out and there's no more activity.
They're not going out. She would have gone out already. So I'm just going to head home. All
right. Monday morning rolls around. What is everyone's plans?
Well, at this point, I probably have classes to teach. So until something comes up involving the case, I've got academic stuff to do.
Okay. So I'll let you decide this. Are you a tenured professor?
I was, if I'm not already, I'm probably going to be up for tenure soon.
So you probably have a pretty full class load?
Most likely, yeah.
Okay. So we'll say that you're probably stuck at the university till you do have time for lunch, and we'll say you have like a 2-hour break from like 11:30 to 1:30, but you probably have classes and office hours until about 4 o'clock.
Okay.
The rest of you, and so Dr. Brents, the day at school passes fairly uneventfully. You do pass Dottie Morgan in the hall. You do see, or not Dottie Morgan, sorry. You do see Dottie in the hall one time, and she kind of slyly smiles at you, kind of knowing what's going on. Mm-hmm. Professor Morgan has been avoiding you. You do have not classes together, but you do have them in the same hallway, and you can you can just tell he's trying to avoid you.
I can't help myself. I mentally giggle a bit because, well, you deserve it, asshole.
What are the rest of you doing?
I'll dodge in real quickly to my office just to file the paperwork. I work with 2 other PI agencies on any legal proceedings they might be involved with. So I'll just file that off and then come back and check in with Ben in his office after maybe 2 hours to 3 hours of work in my office.
Those of us with money and leisure time should pay a visit to the accounting office, or at least give it a call.
And I'm going to head over to the medical examiner and see if I can ask him some questions.
Are you going to wait for Harvey to do that?
I figured Harvey's taken his morning to do some other stuff, so I don't wait for him.
Okay. Let's do the Vandermollens first. Are you going to call over to the accounting office first, or are you just going to head over?
Let's drum up some nonsense business for them, Garland. We can say that we lost his business card, but remember his name. I want to open an account for you for some reason. I kind of want to see if he's got a desk or an office. Maybe there's a picture of him on it.
Like an out of game. Garland has like a 75% law and a 65% accounting because he's been studying financial law. So I'm sure Garland knows of things to say to accountants that I, as a player, do not know how to bullshit my way into an accounting office. But Garland, I think, would.
Yeah. And being from Arkham, you know that the accounting firm that Blaylock works at is fairly new. You've just only heard of it. They're kind of starting up, so that might be why he's not in the phone book yet. That he just recently moved here.
Actually, I did just come up with something.
Okay.
I mean, I am studying financial law, and I'm home for the summer, so I'm just curious to talk to an up-and-coming accountant in the area. Start networking. So
okay.
Yeah, I wonder if this agency also does anything in the way of forensic accountancy, because the Vargas might have asked me to invest in something, and I might want to hire an up-and-coming lawyer, accountant like Martin Blaylock to look into it, if in fact Martin Blaylock has been in the office recently, which I doubt.
So you head on over. About what time were you going to arrive there?
Late morning before lunch.
Okay,
Yeah,
so about 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right. So you arrive at the Tower Professional Building on West Armitage in Arkham around 10 o'clock or so. You walk in, there's no doorman or anything like that, but there is a directory. The accounting office is in suite 304. So you get in, I believe they would have had elevators. So you get in the elevator, go up to the third floor, and there are a number of offices there, and you find suite 304 fairly easily. You walk inside, you can see that there are two offices. That you're in like a waiting room. There are two offices in there with closed doors and a secretary sitting behind a desk who brightens and smiles at you as you walk in. The two doors, they do have the names kind of stenciled on there. One says Martin Blaylock, and the other says excuse me, the other says John Kennedy. And the woman looks at you, smiles, and says, "Hi, can I help you? Do you have an appointment?"
No, we're here to speak with Martin Blaylock.
Oh, both of you give me a psychology roll.
So one of the reasons we came in person. Oh, except I rolled a 99. I think she's a moose. The secretary.
I rolled a 31, which is no good. So
you said that was a pass?
No, it's not.
Okay,
everyone's failed.
She kind of stammers a little bit when you ask for Mr. Blaylock, and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I think he might be busy today. Mr. Kennedy is his partner, but he's out at the moment. If you'd like, I can leave a message."
Oh, we just got a business card for Mr. Blaylock, and he has some associations with the thing we might be interested in, the potential investments. He had more. I mean,
we met him socially a few weeks ago, and that's why we've misplaced the card. But we've been meaning to come in and see him. He didn't leave town or anything, did he?
No, and with that, you can kind of see her glance over at his door a little bit nervously, actually, and says, "No, he's still here. He's just been very, very busy. I'm not sure." Sorry?
It's a good sign. He's been very busy.
Well, yeah. I don't know. She seems to be a little bit hesitant to go over and let Mr. Blaylock know that you're there.
Well, we were. I think we were going to go to lunch, perhaps at Maestro's in about an hour. I mean, is he free for lunch?
She opens up a scheduling book, appointment book, starts looking through it. No, he is free, but he usually lunches by himself. Both of you give me a charm or persuade roll, whichever one you feel would be more appropriate.
I think I'll let Thaddeus roll the charm.
Yes. Not doing it today. 78. It's just beyond.
Yeah, she says, I really don't think he wants to be disturbed right now. I apologize. If you want to leave your card, I'll make sure that he's able to give you a call. Or if you'd like to stop back later, maybe after lunch, he might be available.
Of course, if the fellow prefers to lunch alone, I understand. We all have our habits. Do give him my card, and if he wants to call, anytime after his lunch today, I'd be eager to speak to him. It was charming to meet in person, and we'd like to investigate further doing business with him.
Well, thank you. And she takes your card. I'll give it to him again. If you'd like to call or stop over later, I would be more than happy to see if he's available. He just he's very busy in the mornings.
Now, Keeper, I mean, she keeps glancing over at the door.
Yes.
So, is there like a strong smell of any kind?
No, not a strong smell. Give me a spot hidden roll. Spot hidden or idea, whichever one would be higher for you.
I will do idea.
Is there a strange sound? Is there a shadow that's not human passing over the glass door?
26 is a hard success, or 22 is a hard success on both spot hidden and idea. I said idea.
And Thaddeus, did you make it as well?
I did. I made a regular idea.
Okay, so it's a fairly sunny day. There's no clouds. The sun is out. It's actually a very nice day. And as you look into Kennedy's office, you can see
there's marbled glass and it's bright.
Yeah, it's like a marbled glass where it's a little bit translucent or opaque. You can see the light from the outside shining in. So there's obviously windows in there. When you look at Blaylock's office, it's almost completely dark. Like he has just closed the curtains, shut the windows, something like that.
Yes. Well, Garland, there's a couple of other items I'd like to do before we go to Maestro's. And Miss, is her name on her desk or something?
Yeah, it says Jessica.
Yeah. Miss Jessica, if Mr. Blaylock should, fancy an early meeting or want to change up his schedule, we will be at Maestro's. We have a fairly regular table there, so they'll know you should feel free to join us. Otherwise, we look forward to speaking to him soon.
All right. Thank you. I will, pass on the message to him. And with that, she kind of, manages a smile. It's not as bright as when you first walked in, but, she still kind of smiles at you.
All right.
All right. So, Benjamin, you were heading over to the medical examiner's office, correct?
Correct.
All right. So you go over there. Have you been there before? I assume so.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. So you go over to the medical examiner's office, and so you know the way. You know that the medical examiner is Dr. Ephraim Sprague. He has been there for a while. You've worked with him on some other cases. So as you walk into the examiner's office, you're assaulted with kind of that probably formaldehyde smell or the very medical smell.
Sure.
It's exactly what the way you remember it, where you've got a wall of cooling like refrigerators for the bodies. You have the metal tables. There's nobody on it right now. I don't know if that's how a 1920s medical examiner's office is going to look, but that's what we're going to go with.
Sure.
And so you walk in and you can see two desks. One is very obviously Dr. Sprague, who you've seen before. He's sitting there filling out paperwork. He's an older gentleman, probably in his late 50s, wearing glasses. There's another gentleman sitting in another desk, looks much, much younger, early, probably mid 20s. You don't recognize him.
Okay.
On the desk, there is a nameplate that says Robert Dent, MD. And as you walk in, Dr. Sprague looks up from his paperwork and smiles at you and says, Benjamin.
Benjamin, yes.
How can I help you?
Good morning, Dr. Sprague. Well, I am currently working on a particular case. There's been a number of recent deaths, and call me a detective, but I think that some of these things seem to be oddly related.
Okay.
I think most recently you had a young man in here, Ephraim, who self-inflicted wound, shot himself in the face.
You mean the Wilcox boy?
The Wilcox boy, yes.
Yes.
There are two others that seem to have also frequented the Vargas house. One of them is Roger Hudson.
Okay.
He was recently found dead in an alley of a heart attack. Recall that case?
I do just barely. Obviously, we have a lot of deceased to examine. I kind of remember it. I would have to look up the report to say for sure. If I remember right, I think there was heart attack involved or some other natural causes.
That's what it seemed like, but it seems to me that the first one's death and then this young man's death, heart attack seems a little odd. Anyways, we're trying to put some things together. If you could let me see those records. But then there's another one. There was a fire. Bradford Taylor was found. It wasn't clear on the police report. It says he was found in a burnt out building. Was he burned? I'd like to see that also.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're not on the police force anymore, right? I don't know. I can't really just give those to you.
They're dead. Yes, you can.
Well,
I don't want to take them. I want to look at them. And there's another one. I might have a third one. We're looking for somebody named Martin Blaylock. I checked earlier, and you don't have anybody in the morgue by that name, but you might have some John Does. We are looking for a Martin Blaylock, and he might be one of your John Does.
Well, I can tell you I don't remember Blaylock. With the other two, they've been kind of cracking down on us with, who gets access to the records. You kind of, starts hedging a little bit. Go ahead and give me a
Dr. Sprague, you've known me for years. Fuck. What did you ask me to roll? I got an 80.
Persuade. Probably not.
Can I persuade him with my gun?
Can. The one time.
Yeah, no.
All right. Yeah, he goes, yeah, I'm sorry. Look, they've been cracking down on a lot of things lately. I don't know if you know this, but a couple weeks ago, some of the medical examiner reports got leaked to the reporters somehow. And with that, when he says somehow, he kind of says it with a little bit of venom in his voice and looks over at the other gentleman and says, because of that, a lot of these are under lock and key now, and we can't just, unless it's an open investigation, which, if I recall these correctly, they're not. We can't just open it up. Look, I'll tell you what. I'm actually headed down to talk to the some detectives now for another case that we were working on a couple of weeks ago. If you'd like, I can see if I can get permission. And, if you want to check back tomorrow, I can let you know and let you see those if you want.
I can certainly do that. I would greatly appreciate that.
So,
I don't want you to get in trouble.
Oh, I appreciate that too. And he says, he kind of looks at his watch. He goes, "Oh, I apologize." Look, he starts grabbing things. I'm really late for this meeting. Your way out. It was good to see you again. Let me know when you're free. We'll have dinner or something. And and he's saying this as he's like walking out the door. So with that, he walks out.
Well, then I turn around and I walk out with him.
So as you start to walk out, he's already like halfway out the door. As you turn around, as you start to walk out the door, you hear a.
I turn back around. Dr. Dent.
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
I am Benjamin Armand. I'm a private detective.
Oh, Dr. Armand. A small room. I couldn't help but overhear. Looking for that you were looking for some records, and with that, he kind of stands up and walks over to this filing cabinet, and he puts his arm on the filing cabinet and says, I can understand the predicament you're in. If you'd like, I'd love to talk it over with you over a cup of coffee." And with that, he kind of, as he puts his arm, you notice that he's holding a set of keys, and says, if you've got, I can run out to the cafe down the corner. They've upped their prices, so I think the coffee is about $10 right now. If you'd like, I could run over and get it. I seem to be a little bit short on funds, though.
Thinking, how does my character react? He's pretty straight-laced. Young man, I think you should consider being more careful with who you are making these offers to, or you're not going to last very long in this business. And I turn around and I walk out. Okay. And the reason why is because if I did this and it got back to Sprague, my reputation would be destroyed. So this is just a case. This is not some super special, super duper case that I have to solve. It's like, I'm going to risk my reputation. In fact, I'll probably tell Dr. Sprague what just happened.
So, are you telling him that?
No. I'm telling you that. I just turned around and walked out.
You can. He gets very silent after you said that initially, and then kind of walks. You walk out. You don't hear anything from there. So by the time that's over, we'll say this is also about the time where the Vanderbolens have met or have gone to the accounting office and are on their way out. Harvey, you were doing some things in the morning. Were you doing anything else?
I sort of do this sort of thing for Ben, would I be thinking of maybe just following and filling out maybe some of the level 2 release forms for investigations to give not the same authority as the police would have, but at least authority to review certain files?
like the legal forms to do so?
Yeah. So it wouldn't. It's not a police investigation. It's a private eye investigation.
Gotcha.
It would still be something that I would file with the police department to have for private investigators to have the paperwork to say, this is an official form indicating that I'd like to at least
Gotcha.
review records. I'd probably have that sort of thing.
Yeah, you're an attorney. You would know what forms to fill out, the right process to go through. So yeah, we can absolutely say that you were doing that in the morning.
I'd like to get the ball rolling on that then.
Right. So Benjamin and the Vandermolens, where would you go after your respective places initially?
I'll probably head back to my office. I should also mention in that little thing, if I had taken the files and then the next day Dr. Sprague had looked for the files and found them missing, then he would know that I bribed or, so yeah, no, yeah.
Well, I think
my office.
He might have left the keys on the top of the cabinet while he went for coffee, and you would have looked at them and not taken them.
Oh,
but that doesn't mean you should have done it.
I think that, I think that he and I would probably know each other well enough to, if he was sending me secret signals, then I would have picked up on the secret signals.
And he's not straight-laced, but he does follow the rules. He's got a very good reputation. He's been in the position for years and years. Yeah. So he doesn't take unnecessary risks. Not that he isn't willing to help you, but you need to have everything kind of in line. Up
front, right. I can wait till tomorrow.
Okay. So you go back to your office. Vandermolens, were you going back to the detective's office as well?
Well, first we have lunch at Maestro's.
Of course.
And see whether, it would be a surprise at this point if Blaylock showed up. I also think, Garland, I want you to call with a made-up name. Well, talk me through it. I want to know what Kennedy sounds like so they don't try to pass off Kennedy for Blaylock. Because it seems like either Blaylock's missing or there's something really wrong with him.
Really, he shows up to work, but he's not doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's been in there drunk all weekend, or maybe he's, I don't know.
I mean,
they're covering for him.
We could also, we could throw clout around, and it's very unprofessional.
If they keep pushing us off, we could definitely make noise. But I want to. If we can gain Blaylock's trust, I think that's preferable. But I don't want them fooling us. So if you get an idea, if you know who Kennedy is, and they can't pass Kennedy off for Blaylock, is what I'm thinking. Even just. If Kennedy's like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And then they agree that Blaylock will call us, and it's like, "Hey guy," we'll be like, nice try. Or I'm overthinking it.
No, I would be surprised if. Going as far as to try to pass off as your business partner when they're being so troublesome that you're probably finding a way to get rid of your business partner.
But if he were missing or dead, they would just fess up, right?
I think
we don't think they're covering up a missing person. We think that his office all of his shades are down. He doesn't have a lamp on.
I think it's
that's a good point. You did not see any lights on in either. So
either he wasn't there and they're covering him for oddly, or he shows up and he doesn't do anything,
or he does something strange in the dark.
That's also true.
But they're afraid of him. She seemed a little nervous.
Perhaps. If we go back and maybe tip our hand a little bit. And be like, some of the other people at this event where we met have had some problems and we're worried about him.
We could call and say, Ariadne sends her regards and see if that gets anything out of them. Or go back in person and do the same thing. It's easier if you can see somebody. All right, well, I'm going to get dessert. And then maybe we'll call Ben, see if he's in, see if there's any news.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Dr. Bentz, your classes, like I said, in the morning go great. Your lunchtime rolls around about 11:30. You have about a 2-hour break at this point in time. You don't have office hours during this time either. Right. So do you do anything during that time?
I can't really think of anything. Okay. Unless I want to do a bit more digging as to anything on Zoltan or Ariadne, since I'm fairly certain they're cons, but I don't really have the contacts that Ben or Harvey do, or that the social flair of Thaddeus and Garland. So
no, that is true. You could do a little bit more research into the Varga name, or the any of the Hungarian history or anything like that, if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, and that is my specialty, so I might as well, since as I said, I'm pretty sure they're frauds. So if I can look for inconsistencies in their stories and their histories, I might be able to tease out something new.
Okay. Go ahead and give me library use rolls, but because this is your specialty, you can do it with a bonus die.
And that just means 1 extra D10?
Yep, and take the better of the 2 rolls.
Okay. Okay, and then... Okay, so 25 out of 80, that is a hard success.
Yes. All right, so you had looked at this before, and you didn't quite necessarily know what you were looking for at that point in time. You had only had a name. Now that you've gone through everything you have in the last couple of days, you have a bit more information, and you know a little bit more about their story too. So just like before, you find that the Varga name, it's a very common Hungarian name, but there's no record of Varga of a Varga as a royal or noble lineage. Right. This kind of confirms that either they're not nobles, or they're the second cousin twice removed type thing.
Right, which I had suspected before, but now I'm thinking they're probably not at all.
Right. You also, as you start, so you start doing your research a little bit away from the name portion, and you start looking at more the recent history of Hungary, kind of digging in more, probably the Hungarian newspapers that you would probably collect, things like that. And you do find that, since the Great War, while there have been some political unrest, that there's really no record of political purges or refugee nobles that are fleeing the country. So their story is definitely not lining up. I mean, there's definitely been political unrest, but nothing like what they described as being driven out of their houses and things like that.
Oh, those liars. And I might let out a couple of curses in Hungarian when I realize this. I should have noticed.
So that takes you through most of your lunch. Do you want to stay there? Do you want to, go kind of cancel your classes and go to the others? What would you prefer to do?
Actually, I have a good enough reputation at the university. I could probably duck out of classes and send my TA to teach.
Okay.
Because I feel like this is sort of, it might not be much, but it's something that could be useful. So.
Okay. So what we'll do then, since everybody is kind of converging at the same place, you all kind of end up back at the detective's office once again. Were the Vandermoelens, were you going to make that call to the accounting firm before you go there, or you just wait till you get there? Or were you not going to do that?
Garland, I'll leave it up to you. I think you're right that trying to get a read on Kennedy's voice might be pointless.
Yeah,
But-
because it'd be difficult to call. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, they might be feeling a little fidgety after our visit anyway, given poor Jessica's response. We'll see what Ben thinks. Maybe they'll train a telescope on Blaylock's window and
look at
see
the
him
curtains.
drinking through the Venetian blinds.
So, well, just to make things easy, everybody kind of ends up back at the detective's office at around 1:00.
Hey, Ben.
Avi,
Hey,
yeah.
I got all of the 426 forms processed with the police department. You should have them for limited release for your investigation. Come maybe tomorrow morning, maybe tomorrow afternoon.
Well, that's good because I'm going to go back and see Dr. Sprague. And I mean, he's trying to find out for himself whether he can release the information. But with the legal forms, I mean, who'd you talk to? Judge Turpin?
Oh, it's the police administration. They
Okay.
send it all the forms over to the local judge that's on duty.
All right, so we can. I mean, that'll make him happy that I can hand him the forms. You know, the guy, the other medical examiner tried to get me to bribe him.
Ugh.
You, Ben? Nah.
Oh,
I mean,
and Judge Turpin, you said. I've heard stories
Yeah.
about that man, him and his bailiff.
Bailey. I can't remember the
Beetle something.
Beetle Bamford. Beetle Bamford. That's
I
what
think
it
so.
is.
I think so. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
these are the 426s, so they won't allow you to take them with you, but you can review them on premises.
That's fine. Make copies of them, or at least I just want to see if everything is in order. What the real? I don't see what the big deal is. Except that the reporter, he said that the reporter got a hold of some. Now I think I know who did it. That
I don't know if you need to go looking for Blylock. I think he's sequestered himself in his office. Might still be alive.
that's odd.
Did
They
you
wouldn't
get-
let you in to see him.
No, they feigned a rather lazy excuse of him being too busy.
Well,
That's
honestly,
odd.
I just expected him to be another victim. I can't think of how he's involved in this.
The situation over there seemed real strange. It's a little office in the professional building, and the secretary was really happy to see us until we asked about him. We got two corner offices, and the other guy, Kennedy, might as well have been Gene Kelly in his office dancing around in the sunlight. And Blaylock's office was dark and quiet, and there was an atmosphere of anxiety when we brought him up. It was very unwholesome feeling.
That's very, very
So
strange.
it doesn't seem like he's missing or dead. It seems like there's something wrong with him, and people are protecting him or afraid of him.
That was
Some
certainly
scandal?
tracked. That was certainly tracked with what Miss Harris told me. She did say he came on to her quite forcefully when she was working a party,
I mean,
which is how she got his card.
what kind of a firm is it that he works for?
Accounting.
And he
I would
works
think
at
that they were counting. I mean, Mr. Young Garland, you're studying that, aren't you?
Yes.
I mean, accountants are
financial law.
kind of like no nonsense. If you fuck up, they'll just get rid of you. Oh, excuse my language. If you screw up, they'll get rid of you and just replace you with another accountant.
Well, this is a private firm. You see, it is a partnership between.
Still, it's their reputation.
It is their reputation, and being too busy. I mean, they'd always want to get new clients. They're in complete standoffishness about seeing him at all is very odd.
I would even say that they wanted to pass us off on the partner, but they didn't want to that much. It was it might have been just the fact that we had met him and were looking at business with him made us a little unwelcome.
So
maybe we
running-
didn't too much into it.
running in my mind through the possible things that would cause that. could he be drunk or crazy in his office? And they just don't want to be embarrassed?
Is this a medium or large size office building? Or is it small?
It's a large building, but it's a tiny firm.
So if it's a large building, it's going to have a parking attendant. The parking attendant would know the people. So we could easily go there and just say, hey, did you see so-and-so come in? They're not tight-lipped people. Not always. Not. So we could.
I'm not sure that we gain that much information over that.
Well, you could find out if he's in for the day.
I think he is, though. That's the thing. I think we already know that he's in there.
It sounds like he's locked himself in his office and he hasn't come out maybe for days.
I was wondering if he's just there covering for him, not being at work.
I mean, either he's in his office or she kept nervously looking because he wasn't there, but that's not the feeling.
Sounds like he was looking because they was there.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you would look at the door if he's not actually there.
People, when they're lying, have various kinds of tics, but my impression was more along your lines. Although it's interesting to interact with you, detective sorts, and see the kinds of ways your mind works. There's nothing wrong with slipping a parking lot attendant a few bucks. It's not like a medical examiner who expects a degree of probity from.
Right.
Well, the other end of detection is it's got to be worth it. I mean, you could spend all of your time finding out every little bit of minutia, and you've spent hours and hours, and you get nothing for it except that he's there.
Yeah.
I think that you've got enough information for us to think that he's there.
Yeah, I think
the other thing. Go ahead.
I desperately want to talk to them because you're talking about if it's worth it. I mean, this is somebody who.
If he's surviving,
I'm just talking about the parking attendant idea. I mean, there'd be no reason to act like that if he wasn't there, right?
Right.
Well, I guess it depends if he ever leaves.
I suppose what you could
or
ask.
if he walks to the office.
I suppose what you could ask the attendant, not only is he there, but what has his demeanor been like?
Or when does he leave?
Has he acted strangely lately?
Those big buildings, they don't really ever close their doors. There's probably a night attendant. You might be able to go up there and get into the guy's office.
That's certainly possible. And less chance of anybody else being there at the time. The only question would be, can anybody pick locks? And I cannot believe I'm saying this.
The other thing is that we asked the secretary to have him get in touch with us right away. We can call the house and see if there have been any calls. But you could also independently, we alluded to the fact that we met him socially. I implied that it was at a Varga party. But if you contact the office about another matter, I don't know, just to see whether he's doing any work or whether he's barricaded himself in there. I mean, we don't know the nature of the business. Maybe they were college buddies and Blaylock has family money and set up the office and Kennedy does all the work and they didn't want to alienate him. I mean, we don't know what it's like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Consider when you put it together with all of the things around here and his involvement, what if he's gone insane and he's just in a corner somewhere and they don't know what to do, but they certainly don't want any public attention.
That's certainly possible.
Also, I am curious, so if we call that, you can call the house to see, because I wonder if they've gotten back to us at all. I mean, maybe they had Kennedy call us.
They could. Before we do anything else, I do want to make mention of this, just so that it's not forgotten. On my lunch, I did do some more research into the Varga name and the recent family history. I may have mentioned already that if they're nobility, they're probably second cousins, twice removed or whatnot. But based on what we know now, and especially looking at recent Hungarian history, which I should have realized at the time, but I'll blame the gin. Their story is completely bunk. Because during the time that they said that they were fleeing Hungary after the war, there was certainly political unrest. That's not in question, but actual purges of nobles and seizures of property, that wasn't happening.
Well, I think we're pretty much convinced that they're fakes. I'm convinced from what you said that she's not even Hungarian.
It's interesting, though. It's a difficult language to learn, is it not, for an English speaker?
Extremely
It is.
difficult, yeah.
Yes.
So I suppose they chose it. Perhaps one of them, since they are lovers and not family, maybe Zoltan knew some and taught her.
Zoltan
And they
knew-
chose and they chose Hungarian because so few people know about the history. It's a smaller country and so on.
Right. Now, Zoltan knew enough to speak with me, but he was certainly making mistakes that a native speaker wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't surprise me if perhaps he does have the background, but he could be Hungarian American, trying to pass himself off as a noble.
He might not have learned enough Hungarian from his family if he grew up here.
The one thing about this all, and of course it isn't going to bring Eugene back, but hopefully, Garland, it will help you understand that you are not responsible for what happened to him. We have enough information at this point to tell the Varkas we know they're frauds. I don't suggest blackmailing them, but we can lean on them to some extent. Maybe not immediately, but
I don't want them to hop in a car and just, if they're con men, they will get in a car and drive away and we'll never see them again.
Well, that's why I can't believe they're planning another party.
They'll go to Texas or something.
Right.
It seems as though she has him under some kind of erotic spell, if you'll forgive me.
True, yeah.
You know, he doesn't like that she has boys upstairs, but he puts up with it.
If they're both con men, they might have each other blackmailed in some way. That seems
possible.
You know, he's got an awful lot of cash up there in his room. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this whole thing is so that they can blackmail people. She might be sleeping with boys to find out dirt on their family so that she can blackmail them. And he's blackmailing her and she's blackmailing him.
But
they're all blackmailing
there is an answer to what is going on in that room in suite 304 of that office building.
No.
And I want to talk to him.
I'm thinking of two things. When's our little calling up the dead spirits?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
That irritating German put us off by 48 hours.
I've got to meet with Dr. Sprague tomorrow. I'm also thinking, go ahead.
Is it possible that if we're going to do a little bit of, shall we say, nighttime investigation into 304, we may have to do it tonight?
Well, I don't know if we need to resort to breaking in.
I do appreciate, Doctor, that you have a felonious underside to your professional demeanor.
Well, I'm not precisely the type to initially do this sort of thing, but something about this is eating at the back of my head, and it's annoying.
Yeah, it is troubling.
If we do such thing, and I'm not opposed to it, I've got some skill in getting into places. I mean, we're not going in for nefarious reasons. We're going in to try to solve a case. The most that will happen to us is we'll get in trouble, and
make me work overtime.
Then they'll let us go. Yeah, Harvey can't be involved. If Harvey's on the outside, then if we get thrown in jail, he can get us out the next day. Uncomfortable sleep. But
in fact, I just realized that you guys are in a racket and you're just doing this to extort a lot of money out of me to pay Harvey and his partners. You're clever dogs, you. I kid.
No, that's not what we're doing at all.
It's a good racket, though. We should keep it in mind for another time.
I mean, and I tell them the little story of what happened at the medical examiner. It's like, you've got to consider, like I say, you got to consider the risk. That would have been very nice to been able to hand the guy $50 or $10 and get the information right then, but it would have ruined everything, you know. So we go through legal.
Well, and honestly, on the other hand, want a guy like that in Miami's office.
On the other hand, breaking into that building tonight, sneaking upstairs, my guess is that a building like that, they don't keep money actually there. It's all just paperwork, right?
Right.
There's not a big vault with money.
There's probably a safe in the office for paperwork.
Right. There's probably only a couple of guards. How many stories was the building? Like a 5-story, 10-story building?
5.
How long ago did this gentleman supposedly, how long ago was he at the party?
You think it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago?
No.
So
nobody's ever very specific about what happens.
What did Dottie tell me about when he went up with her?
You mean when she went? Yeah. How long ago it happened, or what happened when he went up?
Well, how long ago was it that he went up with her? Because she was there that night.
She said the week after last, so it would have been 2 weeks, 2 parties prior.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay. So now follow me here. 2 weeks. So he either went in there and died, and the place would reek, or he went in there insane, and he'd have to be living in there. They'd be bringing him food, and so he's not dead in there. So if he is in there, then what are they doing? They're shuttling in food and
they don't know what to do. He's a big shot in the company, and he's gone insane, and he's locked himself in his office, and they don't know what to do. So they all go home at the end of the day.
Yeah, 1 or 2 days, but we're talking 2 weeks now.
Well, they just keep not knowing what to do. They're probably thinking that they need to call the nut house.
This is very. Have you ever read Bartleby the Scrivener?
No, I can't say I have.
It's about a sad accountant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about a legal, a scrivener who copies legal documents. A short story by Herman Melville, and Bartleby, this legal assistant, basically just decides to start living in the office and refuses to leave. I mean, they could be in a similar situation.
Yeah, and they don't want to cause any embarrassment to the company, so they just don't know what to do. But they want to get away from him. They want to go home. So my guess is there's maybe only 1 or 2 guards on permanent in the office at night, and I can easily avoid that.
Well, I would also say there's probably offices in the building that are open until 6, depending on different sorts of businesses. So I don't imagine there are people watching from floor to floor.
I can also dress up as there's probably just a doorman.
Yeah, it's easy to go into the building, go up to the 4th floor, walk down to the 3rd on the stairwell, watch the secretary leave at 5:04 and knock on the door and see if Blaylock comes out.
Yeah.
I also want to do, so if Blaylock, so Eugene died last Friday, the 18th, and a week before, Blaylock was up there, and he's still alive, but he's not compos mentis, we're speculating. And that means that Hudson was up there before that, but he only died recently. Mm-hmm. And then if we're assuming, as we are, that Taylor was one of her guests, then maybe there's except for Eugene, who, because he was maybe stoned, and also because he had that gun that he carried around recklessly and showed off to you in the basement, he went off right away. Blaylock might be on his way to go off. He might be halfway crazy, because it takes a little time. If, as you said, I think metaphorically, the spider venom, or maybe the repercussions of whatever the strange experience with this con artist lady. I mean, and now that we know that the Vargas are a romantic couple themselves, and you had found one of possibly her hairs in his bed, and who knows what these mostly young men are finding out.
Certainly.
And responding to over time. It's just all, it's so sordid. Or there's an infection like syphilis, which drives you crazy.
It could be. Detective Armand, if at all possible, could I accompany you to the building? How good are you at talking to people?
Well, I'm pretty good at talking to people. I just want to warn you, Doctor, that you do have a reputation, and if you get thrown in jail and that gets out,
You're right. Never mind.
if I get thrown in jail, they all go, "Hey, Armand," like this, and I say, "Open up the door," and they say, "All right."
Point taken.
So before we go there, I will call back to the house to see if anybody from that accounting office is called.
You call back to the house and nobody has called.
So tonight we do that. Tomorrow, I got to get something from the medical's office. I'm wondering if I have enough time to drive into Boston. I'm thinking before what's going down on Thursday. If I drive into Boston and I take a look around and see if I can find this Hal Portland and see what sort of shady shit he's into.
Well, also, all of the city phone directories are at the library. We can call the library and get them to look at a Boston phone directory and see if there's a Hal Portland.
Right.
True.
Let's call Hal Portland right now and see if he picks up.
Yeah, I can probably do that at least.
I don't know what to say to him because I don't want him to. I would go there and I would just pretend to be a nobody.
There's no difficulty. I mean,
if we're just trolling the public library to have him look up a directory, it shouldn't get back to him.
Calling the library is not the thing. It's like getting his number and then calling him. I don't want to do that yet.
If you don't want your number to be associated with him, we can call him from home.
No, I don't want to call him because I don't want him to start to get suspicious that something's up.
All right.
I'd rather be a total stranger who bumps into him.
All right.
Because my guess is this is a guy blackmailing Zoltan.
Yes.
Another con guy.
Or it looks like, yeah.
So I want him to bump into me and not know me. And I don't know. I don't know if I can even orchestrate it, but it's not a bad idea to find out if he exists there. We can call the library and see if
something that we can at least figure out any details about him that could be useful to you.
I also have a feeling that if there isn't a Hal Portland in Boston,
could be a Henry maybe.
Well, then it's an alias because
it's Hal Hartman.
You don't meet somebody in a park in the city it's just a city, especially Boston. It's huge.
Right. But let me at least call to the library, see what they come up with, and go from there.
All right.
So you call over to the library. You're going to ask them to look to see if there's a Hal Portland in Boston.
Yeah.
Like, to do a Boston directory, I'm looking for a man, either Portland, either Hal, or maybe Henry, in the Boston area.
So the library, the librarian puts you on hold for a second. She comes back and says, "No, there's no Hal Portland or Henry Portland or anything like that in Boston, but there is a listing for Portland photography."
Really? In that listing, does it mention who happens to work at this photography studio?
No, it's just a phone book listing.
Might just be the owner of that.
Yeah. Go on, I'm sorry.
That address would be useful in any case. Thank you.
Yeah, and she gives it to you, and it's 247 Tremont Street.
Tremont Street, okay. Hey, I have the phone. So no Hal Portlands or Henry Portlands in the directory. However, on Tremont Street, there is a Portland Photography.
And Tremont Street is near where they're meeting the park.
I believe so.
Photography.
And if he's blackmailing Zoltan, if he's a photographer,
yeah, who better?
Might have caught something.
Absolutely.
What if he has photos
or been paid to forge something, or any number of things?
Or
I know who you really are.
Or they paid that have photos.
Well,
Yeah,
it
you
sounds
don't
like
meet
such
at
a
a park bench.
clandestine meeting.
It's true for the business.
Usually there's an invoice. I know you're only beginning to study these things, Garland, but it's not normally, business is not usually done in parks for this reason.
Yes, but what if it's a particular nature of photo
Well,
that's not
quite.
necessarily blackmail?
Usually, euphemisms will do us. Parks are not great for business. There's a lot of potential for confusion generally.
Very
But
public.
you have a point. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were selling books of exotic European erotica the way these guys run around.
Or, if you're looking at blackmail, what if they're taking pictures of the people in the room and that's how they're going to blackmail?
Right. Ben, can you say for sure that there wasn't a camera set up somewhere in that bedroom?
Oh, I can't say that for sure. I didn't.
You were barely in there.
Yeah.
I
Maybe there
were
was
so
a mirror on the
distracted.
wall. Did anybody see a mirror on the wall?
Well, there was probably an armoire that had
Yeah,
a
there was an
mirror.
armoire with a mirror in it.
Maybe there was a secret camera behind it, filming
Could
stuff.
be.
The thing is that it seems so clandestine. The photographer meets him in the park. It's not because he's getting some film. Why wouldn't just go into his shop?
Well,
it sounds
if-
clandestine.
No, I think it's blackmail.
If
I think it's blackmail, which means that the photographer has pictures, maybe of the two of them, not as the Vargases. And he's like, you pay me or I'll give these to the
Press.
reporter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
they've
ruin
been
your
a little
whole
bit.
con.
They've been a little bit popular in the local social press here. Maybe they were in the local social press in Boston as the
The
Naimesh
Richmond family. Yeah.
Yeah.
the briber could be doing it in the public square for safety. If it's
Absolutely.
something that's that dangerous,
In which
public,
case,
Vargas would not, Zoltan wouldn't do anything violent to him. So that's probably why he's not wanting to meet in private.
and now that we got the place, that's another potential place for me to sneak into in the middle of the night and see what's there.
Right. Get the blueprints or black copies or positives or whatever they have for those sorts of things.
You might have a whole, if he's a photographer, you might have 10,000 photographs. So, but maybe they're
Hopefully he
alphabetical,
alphabetizes.
but they wouldn't be under Vargas. They'd be under, what did you
Something.
say?
Richmond or whatnot.
I said Richmond. Yeah.
Dr. Bentz, give me an idea roll.
Okay. Where is
Or the
it?
goulash.
Ugh. Fail. 91 out of 85.
Well,
Oof, you can always spend luck.
I wonder.
And it's actually not that bad of a fail either. Oh, what the heck? It's only 6 luck.
I would with 85, why not push it?
Push.
Or you could push it, yeah.
I'm curious.
You know,
All right,
what, you know
so
what pushing is?
I know somebody did it. So I roll it again. It's harder. And
Well,
if
no,
I fail,
it-
really bad things happen.
Yeah, so it's not harder. So you don't have any penalties or anything like that. You get to re-roll. But if you do fail, there is usually something bad associated with a failure.
And narratively, you want to say like what you could do to try harder at the same thing.
Right.
And
Okay, so
But
at this point, if just trying to up with an idea, maybe I get up, I'm pacing a little bit, and
Okay.
I am really racking my brain because something is niggling, and I'm just like, what is it? What is it?
oh, you're about to trip over the.
Ot 3.
nice.
Extreme success.
She
So-
didn't trip over the autumn.
Yeah. She's like ballet dancing around all of you. As you're kind of racking your brain, something is just like on the edge of your mind, and you realize you just talked to the library. The library has all of these back issues of the various Arkham newspapers, Arkham Advertiser and such. With the two people that have died, Roger Hudson and Bradford Taylor,
Mhm.
there may have been some articles written about the discovery of their bodies.
Okay. I'm like, all of a sudden, you guys see me like freeze, look up, like it's like basically think of like a chandelier has just gone off in my head. Back issues of the paper. If we can get to the library and look at those, we might be able to find, if nothing else, talking about the discovery of the bodies we know about.
Oh, let's do it. That's an excellent idea, Dr. Vince.
Okay.
I need to go home and take a shower. I have been wearing the same outfit for days now.
Okay. So Benjamin's going home. It sounds like Harvey and Dr. Betts are going to at least head over to the library. Are the Vandermoelens going to go to the library as well, or did you have other plans?
Are the Vandermoelens sneaking in with me tonight?
I thought that
I could use an accountant there.
Yeah, I can try to provide some distraction downstairs, and Garland's got a good eye for figures and facts.
Yeah,
And it's good to not go into a place alone where there might be something unwholesome.
Well, and I mean, if there is a very if Blylock is in there and he is out of sorts, you don't want to confront him alone either. Because I mean, we're breaking into an office, but you fully expect somebody to be there.
I think if we actually do encounter Blaylock and Blaylock is mentally damaged, we should call the police. I mean, it's going to cause them a scandal, but I don't give an F about them and their scandals. The man is hurt.
He needs
not
help.
doing anything about it.
Yeah.
No, I quite thoroughly agree that we are the infiltration team, because you are a former policeman with a degree of authority, and Garland and I are capable of paying for assistance from Harvey and others.
I'll have you guys run off before we get in any trouble.
Yeah. Well, you might need a witness, and it's all right. We are, after all, acting on the behest of the Wilcoxes, who suffered a tragic loss because of all this. And we do not think we're confused about the relationship between these circumstances, although the nature is obscure. So I think, Garland, we should be edified by going to the library, and then we should meet Mr. Armand at a suitable hour at 4:30 here, and then we'll go over to the professional building.
Yes, that sounds reasonable enough.
Okay. All right. So in the meantime, Dr. Bent and Harvey, you go over to the library. Mm-hmm. Both of you give me library use rolls, please.
Okay.
Ooh, 29. That is a hard.
Regular.
Okay. So between the two of you, you are within about an hour or so of searching through the last couple weeks of articles. You're in the Arkham Advertiser. You're able to find what you're looking for. The first, dated 2 weeks prior, is an article concerning Bradford Taylor.
A recent article from the Arkham Advertiser dated 2 weeks prior. House fire claims one life. The Arkham Fire Department responded to a call early Wednesday morning to find the house at 519 Noyes Street in Easttown, thought abandoned, completely engulfed in flames. The fire was extinguished within an hour, but it was not until the next day a body was discovered amongst the ashes. Now identified as Bradford Taylor, the 22-year-old was formerly a student at Miskatonic University studying biology, but dropped out last semester. Apparently Taylor, estranged from his parents, had been squatting in the vacant structure the last couple months, according to neighbors. At first thought an arson, the fire has now been ruled accidental, most likely caused by careless smoking. Roberta Henry.
That is the first article you find. After a little bit longer, you find another article. This one dated a little bit before that, about 2 weeks prior to that, concerning Roger Hudson.
Oh, no, here's another one, Dr. Vince. Recent article from Arkham Advertiser, dated 4 weeks prior. Body identified as missing man's. A body found in an alley last week in Arkham's East Town has been positively identified as that of Roger Hudson, 26, a resident and native of Arkham. Hudson went missing last week, according to police reports. The body was in an advanced state of decay and had probably been lying undiscovered for the better part of a week, according to medical examiner Ephraim Sprague. Although autopsy results are not complete, it is believed Hudson died of a heart attack. Funeral services will be held next week, and Hudson will be buried in Christ Church Cemetery. Roberta Henry.
Advanced state of decay? That's odd. Better part of a week that it took him over a week to find him?
Well, if he was in an alley and he was kind of in amongst the trash, maybe he wasn't found. And that's not, a week. You take a piece of steak and you lay it out on your counter for a week, and it's going to be in an advanced state of nastiness by the end of a week.
Very true, but...
Do you also notice that there seems to be a pattern with estrangement from their families?
There's Detective Benjamin, you're not there.
Oh.
You went home.
I'm using my psychic ability.
Yeah.
This has turned into Call of Cthulhu.
We'll see if we can get a copy of these.
Yes.
Yeah, you're able to get a mimeograph or something.
To bring back to the office.
We come in and I'm sort of waving the mimeographs. This is interesting.
And you all arrived there about the time that they were all going to meet there in order to go to the accounting office. We'll say about 4:00 is when you get there.
So I get there and I've got the mimeographs in hand. Take a look at this.
Am I there now?
You smell fresh to daisy, Benjamin.
You notice that they all seem to be estranged from their families. They were all college students that dropped classes and left home.
Roger wasn't, but this any question we had about Bradford not having been specifically associated with the party. He's exactly like, remember Eugene's diary. He was involved in classes and he was not involved in classes. And then it was all about his social life. And then it was all about the Vargas. So this is exactly the same pattern.
What if, remember I said something about mesmerism. What if somehow Ariadne is not having sex with these men? She's hypnotizing them in some way and driving them nuts.
To what ends, though? That's
right.
Well, we never know the ends. We got to kind of look at the clues and then figure out the ends.
And then whatever she did, even if she was mesmerizing them, are we saying, and this is just me sort of saying, I cannot believe I'm even saying this, but are you saying that perhaps she tried to mesmerize Eugene, he broke the compulsion and killed himself after throwing her out the window?
I think that she's obviously had a previous relationship sort of with him. Maybe he's been hypnotized by her for a while. He's estranged from his family. He's left off his classes. He's living somewhere. And that he just sort of went nuts and decided, if I can't have you, nobody can.
But he didn't. If I can't have you, nobody can usually shoot the object of desire first.
She said that he was pointing it at her.
She said he was yelling at her, and we know that that jackanape that you handcuffed didn't hear a thing. And if he was going to lie, he would have said he heard something. He would have said, because he was terrified and full of it. Now, he was right at the door. He was jealous, and he didn't hear any yelling. So I don't believe that's the case.
Psychic. The psychic's got to sort out who's telling the truth. It's like everybody's lying, and of course that's kind of usual.
I think that you know how the Salem witch trials were full of
grudges,
false testimony, and grudges and delusions. I think that there's something very wrong with this Ariadne girl. that this fake uncle of hers is using her for his financial scheme, but she's also running some racket. But, you saw her after she went out the window. She didn't seem like she was all there. I don't think she's all there. I don't think she's hypnotizing anybody. I think she's a sick little creature herself of some kind.
Let's think about it. Let's think about it from another perspective. If you're a con man, what are you after? You're after money, right?
If that's the kind of con man you are.
But I can't think of another kind of con man that would fit this. They want money.
Well, he wants money. She wants social status. She wants to invite new people in, and it annoys him. She wants to throw lavish parties and
she wants
seduce young men.
He's given her the luxury and the parties, but he needs the money. And I think you might be right. Maybe he somehow has her. He's using her.
She could be drunk for all we know.
Or it could be the other way around. He's attached to her, and she
is forcing him to give her whatever she wants.
Certainly possible.
Yeah, there's an element of that.
This oddly enough, this sort of situation usually ends in the murder of one of them by the other. And then we've got this fella in Boston who's blackmailing. There's another con that you'd expect. But how would they be getting... I can't see how they're turning this into money. How are they turning this into money? They don't seem to be blackmailing anyone.
Yeah, I mean, Eugene's family was afraid of marriage, and that's not what's going on with any of these guys.
Right.
All these young men who end up sick or dead.
So what could they be doing? How are they turning their con into money? Well, that's what I don't quite see yet.
Until we go into that office and hopefully find Blylock, we don't have any more puzzle pieces to.
And he's an accountant
over at the moment.
There's definitely money where Blaylock is concerned.
Right. So I think at this point we've done everything we can until you can get into that office.
But there's not a lot of money where Robert Hudson was.
He was a manager at Gleason's, right?
Yeah, but that's not a high. I mean,
these might be collateral damage.
Well, it's also part of the whole thing where these bacchanals they throw. They invite fancy people, and they get fancy college students. They get the Eugenes, but also they take in any number of random seeming young.
What about your professor fella? Yeah, how good do his level of professorship make money?
I know Morgan, he's tenured. They made quite good money.
And yet he's never gotten in.
No. He is older though. So he's very well could not be her type.
She seems to like them pretty young.
It might not be happening at the party. I mean, she might already have him wrapped around her finger. Does he have a family?
Not that I'm aware of. As far as I know, he lives alone. And anyway, let me put it this way. He was certainly more interested in dalliances with students than anything with Ariadne. That's why Dottie gave him the champagne bath.
It's also possible that it's not one thing, because a con man doesn't just have one con.
Exactly.
A whole bunch of cons going on.
I'm just going to go there. There's two of them. Ariadne could be going after the younger gentleman for one purpose, and maybe Zoltan is going after the older, more wealthy people. Maybe he has a different con game going on at these parties.
The problem is there was not a lot of wealth there in attendance.
I'll tell you, though, when we grab a hold of the edge of that blanket and we finally rip it off, we're going to go, oh, that's what's going on here.
Although, come to think of it, if I remember correctly, didn't we find out that Zoltan was the one mostly inviting the wealthier attendees and Ariadne was inviting everybody else?
Yes.
Part of it is
Yeah.
he's trying to make it look like he's
Exactly.
wealthy.
Yeah.
So
Also, there were several people that he was indebted to at the party, but they seemed charmed by this group, but maybe also eager to have their stuff back. I mean, there's the rental carpets, the rental art.
Well, we keep trying to think of what their con is. I mean, maybe this is what it is. Hello, I am this exiled person from Hungary. Our story is so tragic. Oh, you'll give us some money, like, to help.
Yeah, just write us a check.
It's just getting people to give them money.
Couldn't
The
base
people
anybody
attending
giving
these
him money.
parties are in a way financing it.
it could very well be, but I think
They're
at this
spending so much money.
And
yes,
there's
they
also
are.
the element that come to my parties, they're exotic European, and like we haven't seen what happens during the bacchanal component when nobody gets killed.
Correct.
Maybe all the old business dudes and the Glendas have a special night out, and so there's a
Real
impulse
bacchanal.
for the
Some photography going on.
now,
Possibly.
what I'm concerned about is we need to find out exactly how long Roger Hudson has been away from work, because I thought from Glenda, she's a nice girl. She's a little vague. She thought he might have been the upstairs guest a few weeks ago, and at the store, Garland, right? It seemed like he had only been gone for a couple of weeks. And yet the report you found, not only is it a month old, but the body seemed old a month ago,
Right.
which makes me concerned about states of decay of some kind, which is also in keeping with the idea that a young man has a heart attack, which
Is
very
odd.
few young,
Have
if
heart
you've got a
attacks.
heart defect and you know about it, that's one thing, but most young men don't have heart attacks.
I almost feel like at this point we need to talk to Blaylock, or we're just gonna be running in circles.
Let's
And about a half hour has passed, so it is about the time you were planning on going over.
All right, let us go.
sneak over. Hopefully,
So
we
is
won't
it-
set off any alarms.
Is it just the three of you going?
I will
think
take
so.
I will take my car and just park a block behind their car and just wait in the car, just in
Okay.
case if there's any detention. I'll be right there immediately.
And at this point, I'm just going home because I can't be seen at this thing. So,
Well,
Okay.
and Harvey,
I'll-
I would.
or actually, I'll wait at the office because I mean,
Next to the phone. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll be a block away from where you guys park and just kind of monitor from a casual distance, just to make sure all's
Yeah.
good.
Well, if you see the police arrive, then you go start the legal machine
Yeah.
to get us
I'll
out.
have papers in hand.
So
You also might. I was
you
just going
get-
to say, you also might get Thaddeus and Garland when they come running out the back door.
So you get there about 20 minutes later with traffic and everything. So a little bit before 5 o'clock. Benjamin, you were going up, and I apologize. The other two of you, what were you doing? Were you going up
I
as
think
well?
they're just coming with me.
Okay.
I had the idea that when we look at the situation in the lobby, I thought I might engage the desk man or doorman or whoever in some rigmarole to try to make it easier for them to go upstairs and not be anticipated to come down. So we'll see what it's like.
Okay. Harvey, you were able to park down the road and get a pretty clear view of the building without an issue. As you walk into the front room of the entryway into the office building, there's really nobody there to stop you. You know, there probably is a front desk. At this point in time, it's not manned. Maybe it's between shifts, or the person took the day off, or he just went home and there's nobody in the evening. Whatever the reason, the building is Yeah, there's nobody there. And in fact, it's definitely the end of the day because you're seeing people kind of exit the elevator. Nobody seems to be getting in to go up. It's mostly everybody kind of leaving. As you're walking out, you do notice the secretary, Jessica, stepping out of the elevator and kind of walking down. She doesn't seem to notice you.
Yeah. I kind of like something that Daddy is saying. Do we know what floor? Well, you do. You know what floor? He's on 3. When the elevator doors open, let's step inside and go up to 4, and then see if it's possible for us to just walk down the hall. And if nobody's looking, we'll go into an office that's vacant. And just wait for a little while until everybody clears out. And then we'll walk down the stairs to the 3rd floor.
Yeah. Office or stairwell, nobody's going to be using the stairs.
Right. We just don't want to use the elevator because if there's a guard down in the lobby, he'll see the elevator go up and down.
Okay. So you go up to the 4th floor as you exit the elevator. There are some people kind of standing there. They smile at you. They don't seem to be paying you much business. You walk down the hallway. You don't see any offices that are vacant that you can tell, although you do find a janitor's closet that you're able to duck into very briefly.
Yeah.
Were you going to wait like 20, 30 minutes?
Well, we probably
check to the end of the hall.
We probably check to see when they close. So
yeah, most businesses would close around 5 o'clock.
Right. So we're just waiting until everybody clears out of the building.
Okay. So you wait, I think, a good 20 or 30 minutes. And Harvey, as you're sitting in your car, you can see people filing out. Probably about 10 after 5 or so. The crowds definitely thin out of those leaving the building, and shortly thereafter, it seems pretty safe for you all to leave. You leave the janitor's closet, and the hall itself is empty.
We'll make our way to the stairwell.
Okay. You go into the stairwell, down to the 3rd floor. You're easily able to make it onto the 3rd floor again. The floor is empty. It seems like most people have gone home. Again, it's Monday. So is it Monday? Yeah. It's Monday. So people are anxious to get back home.
Benjamin, you are carrying a firearm, I assume?
Yes, I cut my firearm.
So now the building is emptying out, I feel a little bit less bold. All right.
So you make your way to Suite 304, the accounting office. You're standing in front of it.
All right. No sounds. No.
No, not that you can hear. No.
That's it right there, huh?
That's it. The hallway door is also frosted glass, I guess, and it says something like Kennedy and
Kennedy and Blaylock.
Blaylock.
Lights off. Lights are security lights on, maybe at the end of the halls.
I don't know if there'd be security lights in the 20s, but the hallway lights are on. But inside the office, you don't see any lights on.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That means that they can't see that the lights are on unless they're in the buildings across the street or down the road. And then they wouldn't care.
So, Private Detective, do we knock to be polite and show them that we are trying to enter as friendly partisans? Or do we?
We're breaking in.
Then we want to be very quiet, right?
Yeah.
I'll put this out.
So I'm going to go up to the door, and first of all, I'm just going to turn and see if it's open. Very quiet.
It actually is unlocked. So the door does squeak slightly. All these sounds seem to be amplified as you hear it, and you open the door to the Vandermollens. It is like you remember it, although the lights in the main office entry area are turned off. You do see, like before, the daylight from outside. It's only a little bit after 5, so it would still be daytime, coming in from Kennedy's office, which is on the right. On the left, which is Blaylock's office, you do see you see the same thing where it's kind of darkened. Although the three of you, give me a listen roll.
Oh, 8. That is
62 is not good. No.
that is
67. I don't think I've rolled a success tonight.
it's just a regular. I mean a hard.
Okay. So the random moments, you're still just kind of. This is all new to you, so you're kind of a little bit on edge. But Detective Benjamin, you could hear movement from inside of Blaylock's office.
Okay.
Like shuffling feet or somebody moving around.
All right. And there's no window looking into the office or anything.
No, the only window
solid
would be
doors.
the door, and it's kind of like that opaque glass.
All right.
So you can see a shadow, or I guess you cannot see a shadow. You just see the you just hear somebody moving around. Sorry.
All right. Let's you guys hang back a little bit, and I'll go forward to the door. And is it unlocked? I'm doing it very quietly. And
Do very quietly. It does appear to be unlocked.
I'm looking for like a blunt object by the door.
There is an
There's
umbrella.
a coat stand. There's an umbrella.
Oh yeah, there'd be a big coat stand. Yeah.
Yeah.
remember, it might just be Blaylock.
it might just be Blaylock. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm worried about.
All right.
I'm sort of holding that for comfort.
Okay.
I'm going to swing the door open.
Okay. So you swing the door like fast swinging the door open.
Yeah, I don't want to give whoever it is time to react.
So you swing the door open. As the door swings open, it's hard to see because it's dark in there. Your eyes need to adjust a little bit. Although you do make out a figure sitting behind a desk in there. The figure seems to kind of be startle up a little bit as the door just swings open, and you could hear a what? Who's there?
Can I guess where the lights are and flip them on?
Yeah, you can. As you do, your eyes were adjusted to the light, but the person behind the desk, they kind of reach out and grab their eyes, and you can see sitting at the desk is a man dressed probably in his early 30s. He's got not long, just kind of black hair, but as he kind of moves his hands away from his eyes, you see that he's got these very large, like deep, dark bags under his eyes, like he hasn't slept for days. His hair is just very greasy. He's wearing a undershirt. You can see kind of thrown onto a couch in the corner are a shirt and suit. Sitting on the desk in front of him is a bottle of scotch that's mostly gone and a empty glass. And he kind of sits back startled, and in this like very raspy voice, who are you? What do you want?
Yes,
Martin
Mr.
Blaylock?
Yeah, I'm Martin Blaylock. Who are you?
Sorry,
Rubs his eyes.
we just wanted to ask you a couple of questions about
Private investigator.
What?
We're looking into Ariadne and the Vargas.
Ariadne. You know Ariadne? Did she
Yes,
send
we
you
do.
here?
No.
What did she ask about me?
Ariadne is at the heart of an investigation right now, Mr. Blaylock. You're not the only man she's hurt.
But you're here, so she must have asked about me. I need to go. I need to go see her. And he kind of stands up as he does. He kind of gets like halfway up, and then kind of sits back down and goes, "No, I can't see her." He just kind of lets out this guttural like groan, just kind of throws himself back in his chair, and he just looks completely wiped out and exhausted, like he has been up for days.
Sweaty smell in the room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Blylock, other people who have gone up to see Ariadne have not turned out okay. A friend of mine, Eugene Wilcox, this last Friday, went up with Ariadne and then shot himself. We want to know what goes on when Ariadne picks somebody and leads them upstairs.
Did you have relations with her?
He starts laughing. Like, yes, if you want to call it that. It was the most wonderful, amazing experience of my life.
Would you describe it for us?
He just kind of smiles. He kind of gets this almost creepy smile on his face, as if he's like remembering that night. And he says, "I can't describe it to you. It's I don't know what to say."
Mr. Blaylock, do you realize that it's ruined your life?
Yeah. No. What? Well,
every man that she has been with is dead or sick. We think you're sick. There might be an infection involved. Something like syphilis.
You haven't slept at all?
Oh, I've slept, but the dreams, the dreams. They're.
Tell us about them, please.
I can see them in coming after me. I can hear them. The voices, the movement in the shadows. I can't. I don't. And with that, he kind of stands up very quickly on his desk. Benjamin, give me a spot hidden roll.
He's armed.
82. Hold on, let me see what that is. Spot hidden. Oh my. I'm going to push it.
Okay. Go ahead. If you fail, well, we'll just keep going.
Something bad's gonna happen. Yeah, 46. I passed.
Okay. So he stands up, and being a former police officer, detective, and private eye now, you immediately start looking for some type of weapon, and you do see in his hand that he's holding a 38 in his right hand. He's not pointing it at anyone,
right?
But he stands up, his arms just kind of at his side. Or one arm at his side, the one with the gun, and the other just grasping his head.
Mr. Blaylock, I need you to put the gun down. We are going to get you some help.
No, you can't help. Don't you understand? She's the greatest and the worst at the same time. You don't understand. You can't understand. I have been, ever since that night, and with that, he kind of lifts up the gun, and he's not pointing it at you, but he's definitely just kind of moving it. Yeah, exactly, or moving it around the room. And with that, he just stops and says, "You don't understand."
No, I don't understand, but we can get you to somebody who does understand. And I'm sort of motioning for the two of them to get out of the room. Please.
No one's
got a gun.
Way ahead of you.
Yeah, and I'm actually trying to sort of move to the side because I want to be able to jump at him when he does a dumb thing.
The side of the room, or the
side of the room. Assuming that
I get you.
We followed him into the office, and he's over to the desk. Garland's backing out, which I'm happy with because he's my offspring and I love him. But I'm more, I want to preserve this idiot's life so we could talk to somebody else. So I'm moving shadow side, I guess, counterclockwise from the door we came in.
I'm honestly more afraid that he's going to kill himself.
Yeah, that's my concern.
All right. So as he's going through his rant, and Garland is walking out of the room, and Thaddeus is moving around a little bit. Benjamin, you're watching him very closely. You see that he just his ranting, it just kind of stops, and he becomes very silent for a second, almost like this calm look across his face, and just looks at you and says, you can't help me, but you need to help her. With that, he raises his gun up, pointing it,
diving to try to knock it out of his hand.
Okay, go ahead and give me a
grapple.
Yeah.
Yeah, two.
Oh.
We're gonna bump into each other probably.
Yeah, I got an 89.
I got a 32, which means if I spend just 7 luck, I can knock him over.
Okay.
So
I'd have to spend quite a bit of luck.
I mean, I can't guarantee that knocking him over is going to be sufficient, but yeah, 7 is fine.
All right, so so this is what happens, Benjamin. You jump to try to get him, but the desk is just in your way. You kind of make it halfway over the desk, but he's able to very easily take a step back. He kind of throws the gun up, lifts it up, fires, but the bullet just goes wild. It goes through through the wall. Garland on the other side, you can kind of see where the bullet comes through and goes into the ceiling. Thaddeus, from your vantage, though, you were able to kind of maneuver around the desk and you saw that as he was going to right as he fired the gun, he was turning around and almost trying to leap towards the window that was directly behind him. Harvey, give me a listen roll. But Thaddeus, you are able to tackle him. And you don't tackle him to the ground, but you've got a really good grasp on him. Harvey, did you make it?
95. I must be really enjoying my coffee and newspaper.
And right as the gun went off, somebody was honking their horn. So you did not hear anything. So Thaddeus, you have your grasp around him. Benjamin, what are you doing?
Get the gun.
Okay. You go after the gun.
I'm yelling that. So
okay. Go ahead and give me another grapple roll, but because he's kind of grappled by Thaddeus, that you get an advantage to that, or not advantage, bonus die. Wrong game.
I got a 16.
Okay. So. And then Thaddeus, you as you're holding it, you can see that you don't have the arm with his gun, and he's still kind of wavering it around. What are you going to do? You've got a hold of him.
Yeah,
I've got handcuffs right here. So if you reach up and grab my handcuffs,
I mean, if I understand, he went to turn and shoot. He wasn't on it. I jumped onto him. We fell over more or less, but he had the gun in hand.
So he was standing behind the desk. He raised the gun up to shoot. He shot. It went wild. Mm-hmm. You were able to maneuver around the desk. You were able to kind of jump at him and grab him. You haven't tackled him, but he's definitely off balance. And
okay, so we didn't go down. We were just in grab. No. And then
I've got the gun away.
Armand got the gun away from him. Is that right? Is that sequentially correct?
That's right, what's happening at the same time. What are you doing as Benjamin?
I just wait to put him on the ground. Gotcha. So that the window is not a big issue.
And Garland, as this is all going on, what are you doing?
I'm out for coffee 3 blocks away.
What? No, I'm just trying. I'm trying to talk him down a little bit. It's like Blylock, you can help us save her. We need more from you. Please just hang in there.
All right. So
you don't have to do this.
So as you're saying that, and as the other two are just kind of tackling him to the ground, Benjamin, you're able to get the gun away from him, kind of put him in cuffs between you and Thaddeus, holding him down. As this happens, he just kind of breaks down into tears, just saying over and over, no, you can't help me. You can't help. No, it's too late. It's too late. And he just keeps saying that over and over and over again.
Yep.
We saw a bit inside. We saw like the ropes or blocking the door. Please, we know something. You gotta tell us more.
When you say that, he looks up at you. He stops saying that. He just locks eyes right with you and says, "I've seen the ropes too. There's more. There's so much more." And that's where we'll end it.
Excellent. Our players included David Gasaway, Stuart Lively, Jen Obertaz, Morgan Llewellyn, and myself, with Tyler Hudak as the keeper of the secrets. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members. You can set up private games. You can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Riley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.
Just cast an eye while in her direction. Oh me, oh my, that perfection. I repeat, don't you think that's kind of neat? I ask you confidentially, ain't she sweet?